Welcome everyone to another edition of Play It Through, and this time around it's Bucky O Hare, brought to us by Konami, who of course also did the Castlevania series as well as the Legend of the Mystical Ninja series. Now this is a licensed game based off of the Bucky O Hare cartoon from the early 90s, and is one of the great licensed games of the NES era, and was one of the few eras of gaming that licensed games didn't mean that they're bad. Nowadays it just seems like anything based off of a movie or a cartoon will most likely be a bad game. This is not the case by far. This is a great game, and being made by Konami, the other one's also made by Capcom, company actually puts effort into its games, and it can really be shown, unlike THQ, for example. Don't mean the whatever, just I blame THQ a lot for some of the bad licensed games we've gotten over the years. But that's the only down though. Let's get on all the positive, because this game is absolutely great. It's pretty challenging because there's a lot of instant deaths, but in terms of the regular enemies that you're fighting throughout, you have a pretty, lengthy health bar. So, getting hit throughout the game isn't too bad. There's a lot of health boosts to get you back to full health. So in terms of the regular enemies, not hard. It's just those instant deaths that can be a pain in the butt. It kind of reminds me of Mega Man in a lot of ways, of being a lot of the instant deaths, either because of spikes or because of lava, and stuff like that can be a real pain in the butt. Now you can start off by selecting your stage. You have 4 planets, and pretty much each planet has one of your fellow companions on the planet being held captive, and you have to go to that planet to, of course, save them. We're going to start off with the green planet. It's the first planet. I'm just going to go in order to the planets. The reason why to go through this certain order is as long as you do green planet first, you can do any of the other ones. Seemingly you need the character from this planet in order to continue. Every time you complete a level and get another companion back, a member of your crew, you actually can turn into them, and each one of them has a different firing ability as well as a different charge-up ability. Bucky can charge up his jump. You have Blinky, who can do a kind of a hover. Deadeye can charge up and cling on the walls in order to climb up real quick and get past certain areas. Jenny can use like a psychic beam, a psychic ball will actually come out and she can control it. And Max, I think his name's Max, the kid, can charge up a gun and fire a bigger blast. He's pretty much one of the more useless characters. I don't use him very much throughout the game. Now this is the second part. Each of the planets is broken up into a lot of individual parts. The good thing about the game, even though there's a lot of instant death, like if I was going to fall into this water here, I would instantly die. The good thing about the game, though, is even though it's difficult in instant deaths and stuff, you get a decent, you have infinite continues that continue on no matter how many times you die, and you're put back. When you lose a life, you're put back right into the area you were, and since there's so many areas, you're not being set back too far, so you don't have to you don't have to worry about redoing the same area over and over and over again. The only thing that gets on my nerves is some of the bosses seemingly take too many hits to kill. I'm really not sure if by using the different characters do the bosses take less hits. Most likely, they do. I'll use different characters on certain bosses if it's for a strategic way of being able to hit them. For example, Deadeye has like a 3-shot spread shot, in which case he can, hit enemies up without having to actually look up. So I'll use that against one boss in particular that makes that boss a lot easier. But in terms of the other bosses, I really don't switch up other than being Bucky throughout the course of the game. This is, of course, is just falling through a waterfall as thousands of rocks continue to fall as well. If you've never given this game a try, if you've never played it, it doesn't even matter if you even liked Bucky O Hare or even remember it, because it's a very short-lived cartoon. It was also a series of comics, which are, it's for, as a kid, this is greatness. This was great stuff. This was on Saturday mornings as well as, other great cartoons. Now here's the first boss, who you can only hit from behind when you can only hit him when he's running. Like I just hit him from behind when he was running and ran into the wall. That's the only time you can hit him. It's kind of weird. Most of the other bosses, you can hit all the time, regardless. For whatever reason, him, you can only hit, you know, when he's running, you can only hit him from behind. If I jump behind him and fire into his back when he's standing here holding the rock, I do no damage to him. I can only hit him when he runs. Kind of weird, but one of the few bosses that doesn't make much sense. All the other bosses, you know, their hit spots make sense. Most of them you can just keep blasting, or they have like an opening that opens up to give you the opportunity to make a shot on them. You know, but for the most part, that's the only boss that doesn't make much sense, and he's the first boss, so, you know, go along with that as much as possible. And of course you have a, you know, a score that racks up, and, you know, you get more, you know, for how much life you had left over. And I say Blinky, who of course, thank you, Captain, I've rescued a toad weapon that will smash walls of ice and stone. It also acts as a rocket pack, Captain O'Hare, allowing you to fly. And of course, after each planet you beat, you also have a passwords, you know. And no matter what order you beat the planets in, you get the password. And after you've completed all the planets, you actually have a whole nother set of levels that you don't have a choice of which level to go to. You must do them in, you know, the order, because you're pretty much escaping the giant enemy ship. But as you can see, I just used Blinky there. Blinky's regular attack is useful if you're on a ledge, as you just saw, and he's below me. I couldn't shoot him with Bucky without having to jump down or jump above him and shoot down. He has that arcing shot, which isn't very useful against most enemies, but what that does is that destroys ice blocks that'll be coming up in in the blue planet, the ice planet. There's tons of these ice blocks, and the only way seemingly to get past them is by using his weapon. So you would have to do the first planet before you did that one. At least as far as I've been able to see. I'm not sure. There may be some way to get past them. I just have never been able to figure out how. This lava, of course, this fire will instantly kill me if I fall into it. So this game is really hard to get past without dying. I put about a week and a half, 2 weeks of practice into this game in particular, because I've always wanted to do it in one life. This is probably one of the hardest areas in the entire game, this whole part with the lava falling down. It reminds me exactly of Quick Man stage in Mega Man 2. Unfortunately, I don't have, you know, the time move so I can freeze time. I mean, I really don't need it. It's not as hard, but it just reminds me exactly of that. Now here's the fun part with arcing fire. I'm just glad that that fire doesn't kill me in one hit instantly. That's of course a very, very good thing. It does a good healthy amount of damage, so as you just saw, it just took away over like half my health. Good thing is, you know, I have a good chunk of health. I don't have to worry about it, but still, that's just a ridiculous amount. But like I said, just be glad that it doesn't kill you instantly in one hit. Now we're heading over, killing of course any frog that we see. Oh, this is a fun part. Of course, with these drills, you walk into these drills, instantly dead. So you gotta maneuver your way up this whole series of platforms that move, and, you know, it's pretty much nothing. This game pretty much combines every single element of any type of action platform game seen on the NES into one game. Whether or not it's this, you're gonna have, like, vehicle moving platforms, meteor moving platforms, you know, on, you know, like, meteors, rocks going upwards. You know, you have, like, every freaking element of platforming that has existed in an NES game is pretty much brought together in this game, which is probably one of the reasons why this game is so good, in my opinion, and why this game, you know, is one of my favorites on the NES. And again, it also has a great soundtrack and all of the cool, you know, abilities, and, you know, being able to switch between different characters, and just everything together is why this game is great. I'm just moving up these things. I'm almost at the end here. Of course, the arrow is where I need to get to, but I have to wait for the other platform to come over in order for me to make it. There we go. Of course, spikes will instantly kill. As you're going to see, I can do my charge-up ability with Bucky in order to get up to higher platforms. I've used it already a few times, but I don't think I really mentioned that I was using it. You know, that's pretty standard stuff for a rabbit. You know, obviously you're going to expect him to jump high. Like I said, the most useful abilities in terms of that, you're going to be using Blinkies at a few specific spots. Mainly in